Hi, welcome to ITCOM, where real men talk. Today we'll be discussing the issue of marriage in all its perambulations, and with me as my guest are actor-producer Ibrahim Suleiman and digital project manager and children's animator Mila Luwoye. Let's get it on. Marriage in Nigeria with all its perambulations. So let's cut to the chase. I'd like each of you to define what marriage is to you. And I will start with Mila.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I would say
Don't
marriage.
thank too early.
You said don't thank too early.
Well, that's cool. I would say marriage is like a safety place or a safe place for a woman and a man. This takes me to an Igbo quote or saying that one of my mentors told me many years ago. It said there's an adage in Igbo land that goes, a chicken that does not belong to anyone would end up in the public pot. Right? So if you are a chicken, you want to be safe, you want to be in a safe place in an accountability situation, then put yourself in that place where you're accountable to a woman or accountable to a man. So I would say marriage is like a safe haven. Out there, you would hear people saying like the dating pool is BS, there's a lot of things going on. But the guys in marriage, they're not experiencing that. So there's a sort of like security that's protecting them from what's going on out there. So in a nutshell, marriage is like a safe haven for both men and women. That's my definition of it.
Interesting. So the counter to your chicken analogy is that a goods that belongs to somebody ends up getting cooked. But let's leave that alone. Let's just leave that alone. So Ibrahim, what's your take on marriage?
So, as he said, let me be polite. Thank you for having me here.
Again, early thanks, but it's okay.
And I want to apologize for the sunglasses indoors. I have home training. It's not something I usually do, but I look like a zombie. I haven't slept properly in a while. Okay, so, but yes, this is true. I'm also kind of.
It's that.
Yeah.
I like that. Humble brag.
Yes. So I don't know. I find that defining marriage is a very personal thing. And because, a lot of people disagree on what marriage is for them or to them and all of that, what works for me is, basically marriage is a finding, of the weirdness in the other person that works with weirdness in you.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I've always known that I'm not particularly, a regular, what is normal really? Anyway, but I'm not particularly regular. And I just knew that whoever I ended up with would be someone who either gets it or is also sort of it as well. And because it's a continuous journey, I would say marriage is choosing your partner every day.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, has loaded me now, so
I apologize.
it's okay. I will load you.
I was lying. I didn't. It was not a sincere apology.
We know that one. We know you well. Yeah. You act sincere.
I hate you so much.
So, okay. So, in essence, what you are both saying that marriage fundamentally is a partnership of sorts agreed upon between the two or more.
Or more, yeah.
If you're in polyamory or hypergamy or whatever it is, fine. That being the case, should marriages basically be like contracts, short-term with renewal options? Given that every single day, going by your display, you basically revitalize, re-educate, re-pledge.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be safe to say, you know what, let's get married for 5 years, see where we are. Maybe when kids come in, we see if someone will do this and all that. He's a lawyer in me, so I always look at things in contract. Except in my own marriage. But let's leave that one because my wife is also a lawyer. So
that was
checkmated.
smart
That
move.
discussion. She's a lawyer too, so she checkmated that. But I do believe, especially in this day and age, it might be something worth considering.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mila?
Wow, you're always coming from me first.
No, you have to thank me. I not tell you. Okay.
Right. So that is not possible in the concept of marriage. Why did I say that? You're a lawyer. If
I
you
do
want to,
prenups, by the way, so
oh, that's good. Security. It's essential. So let's say for instance, there's a mortgage. You have a mortgage. You have a rental flat.
yes.
You're a lawyer. A mortgage would say, let's say for instance, First Bank, GT Bank would say, you know what, Mr. Miller, we'll give you this mortgage for 30 years. You can't break it. This is not going to happen. And then there's one Mr. Chinedu who has a flat somewhere in Ikoyi and is renting it out for me or leasing it out for 2 years. Which one is easy to run away from or easier to run away from amongst like the two? The mortgage from GT Bank, 30 years. The rental apartment in Ikoyi, 2 years lease. So if you look at that, the 2 years rental, it's like relationship. Let's see how this goes. We can run away from this anytime. But the mortgage, 30 years, you're on it.
It's a commitment.
Commitment, right? If you default on your mortgage payment, they will repossess the home. So they will repossess the home, repossess the marriage, right? In actual fact. So, and it's even deeper than that. Marriage is spiritual. It's the vows that come to marriage. It's not just I do. You're holding whether it's Quran or Bible, right? So there's the deeper side of it is that spirituality. Going back to the question, 5 years of contract, let's see how it goes for the next 5 years. Unless you're just doing that as a marriage convenience, we're not going to use any sort of vows, any sort of words, any sort of spiritual authority, which is, it's common in Las Vegas. You can drive to a chapel and just say, you know what, get us married tonight. And we'll go from there. So for me, it's not possible if you really want to have a meaningful marriage. To marriage, there's purpose. I read a book many years ago called The Purpose-Driven Life, Rick Warren. There's purpose-driven marriage and so on. So I don't really see that happening. But anything can happen these days. People can say they can do that. So it's all dependent on the individual. But as a person, I don't think that's possible to have a contractual marriage for the next 5 years when something that's spiritually strong is involved.
There's a lot I can unpack in that, but Ibrahim, what are your thoughts on the same issue?
So I see the practicality of it. Saying that marriages can be termed for a period of time, and then they're subject to renewal or extensions and all of that. If we're talking in terms of pure functionality, I think that makes a lot of sense. However, when you have a situation like that, it is easier for people to think short term and not think in terms of building, for the future. So if you tell me now, as he said, with the analogy that he gave, if you tell me now that I'm married to this person and the contract that we signed is for 5 years with the how to do in football, where you sign a player, he signs a 5-year contract with the possibility to extend by a year, with the same terms. And then when you get into like the second to the last year of that 5-year contract, there's now the clause where you can sit down and renegotiate depending on how things are going for a longer, so you extend the contract beyond the final year and the plus 1 year. So I see how it works. I see how that can actually be a thing.
But
being the human beings that we are, people will be selfish with this thing. And I feel like it will cause more problems than what we currently face. Because if we're being honest, first of all, marriage is being demarketed, especially on social media. Every time there's a conversation about marriage, right, most of the sentiment is negative. And I see this every day because I'm very vocal about my marriage, my relationship, how I'm not going to front. It is the best decision that I ever made. Do you understand? Because women don't show me pepper for this life. My eye don't something.
Up on your fine boy and start with
Bruh,
us.
it is, look, the better looking you are, the more home training you have, the more pepper you're going to collect. Do you understand? See, people have told me, bro, it's because you're a decent human being that they know that they will do it and nothing will happen. You'll be sad, you move on. But if they know that, no offense, I hope this is not, if you're a bastard, they know that if you do anyhow, they will see more than anyhow. They will not try. See, no, let's be honest. The people that are out there getting away with also things are people that don't have home training. And in this society today, we reward bad behavior.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're out and about kicking up a ruckus every time, people will fear and respect you. But, you know, if they know that when he closes from work, he goes home, they'll be like, softy. People, you know, people come at me and call me there's this word, tickles me every time I see it. I crack up. A simp. That's the word.
Oh, right.
They will call you a simp simply because you are happy.
Yeah.
You know, having made the right decisions for yourself. But these people are lonely in a basement or in a room that their parents are paying for. Anyway, but we move.
Hi.
You understand? So it is a thing of how much marriage is being demarketed, right? So if we go this route of saying, you know, set a contractual limit to the duration of a marriage, and then both parties consider and reevaluate and be like, okay, this is working, this is not working. New terms. If you don't sort this out in the next 6 months, then you have breached this and then blah, blah, blah. The people that get into marriage will most likely stay in that marriage until the duration elapses. But the chances of renewals will diminish because most people will not commit fully. They will not commit their 6 to 10 year plan. You know, don't commit to building that in that first 5 years because they're already thinking that, you know, I can have fun with this, you know, stick to the terms. And then after the first 5 years, head out, find someone else to have another 5 years of fun with. It will be chaotic, I beg.
Okay. Let me flip it from a different perspective, right? A lot of notions of marriage, right, are romanticized and pushed by society and culture. Marriage originally was a legal construct to regulate offspring and responsibility for social orders. In fact, even my marriage ceremony initially wasn't all this we do now, the trappings. No, because when you get married in a church or in a mosque and you use the Bible, right, there is no legal standing, by the way. You still have to go to the state to authorize and accept your marriage for one simple reason. It's a mark of the responsibility you are taking to somebody else. Now, with that in mind, your marriage is already a contract.
Fair.
It's already been gone to law. And the spiritual aspect, I like to separate spiritual from religious. Spiritual really is about a resonance between you with somebody else's spirit. Now, in that wise, if you believe you found someone who shares the same values with you, and once we embark on a journey with it, doesn't it make a lot of sense to say, you know what? We're in for the long haul. You can actually do a 20, 30-year contract with opt-out periods, because even in marriages, I don't have any of these. And I said I do prenups.
Of course.
If it's not working, some marriages don't work, regardless of the reasons. So won't it be that to take an even slate and say, look, we're in this, we can agree on a term, you can say 10, 20 years. It's a conversation because no contract is written without an agreement. And you will stipulate what are your deal breakers. As you said, every day you repledge, so you refine. So because you are never the same person at the start as you are at the middle, why not simply say, look, I'm in it for life. I could change my mind tomorrow.
Which happens.
What you now do in a marriage contract per se, in that sense, is there are other things that happen in between, behavioral aspects. Again, with a player contract, for example, as you said, there are moral clauses and everything else, but those clauses are actually not there to break the contract. So say, hey, come, you're doing this now we don't like. Let's have a conversation. I think when people say you are demarketing marriage or you are changing marriage, I think they lose out of the very fact that marriage originally wasn't that. And two, in this new arrangement, you're actually giving people a bit more freedom of will to enter and depart from relationships that don't work for them, either because they made a mistake or they're not good for the party.
Right.
But let me spin all that around again to another thing. Do you actually have to be married to be married?
Yes.
Why must you go that route, especially in this day and age where there are more laws right now that protect civil unions, assume marriage and everything else? Why do we almost romantically hold on to the idea of marriage as this spiritual, cultural, personal thing. If the personal thing and the spiritual thing is that strong, you don't need a contract. I pledge to be with you for life. So, and you will accept all my nonsense and I'll accept all yours, because that's a big problem with marriages as well. What works for me today will not work for you tomorrow.
Exactly.
Good. So in that case, I just go and say, between you and me, we have a marriage of the heart and mind. No need for anything else. Let's just go. We can still divide our responsibilities. Let us go. Are you opposed to that?
I am, actually.
Same here. Same
Are you
here.
going to explain why? I'm just saying here. So I know what to pivot next.
All right, so, okay, I was waiting for him, but again, if someone wakes up tomorrow morning and they say, "Oh, I'm probably not going to mention names here." So a man, in the 80s, on the early 90s, he saw his butler's wife, and he said, "You know what? I like this woman."
I want some of that.
Do you understand?
David.
And it's even like in real life. In England, he saw his butler's wife and it's like, I like this woman. And he's married to an amazing woman. But again, because he's coming from a royal background and he says, do you know what? We'll do whatever we need to do on the back scene. And along the line somewhere, they got together. The woman left her husband, right? And the other woman left. We all know the story. I don't want to mention names. So today, he's a king. The woman, the butler's wife, is a queen.
Yes.
Right. If the woman, the ex-wife, had entered into the sort of thing you were talking about, how would it be for her?
But she allegedly did quite a few times, and especially when everything ended for her, she allegedly did. But let me counter you with that, right? The woman he has married now never wanted to be married to him in public. That was a long-standing thing. She was literally his partner through everything. They had that connection. She actually would have at first proposed a linking up, and she was willing to accept his being married. Which is why I said, must you be, because there are many reasons why people get married. There are professional reasons, companies don't invest in people that they don't think they can tie down and all that. It's about responsibility. But
yes,
do you have to actually be like, this is my wife?
Yes.
Because using the argument you're just right now, right? That lady was more married to the guy than his wife was. And she's finally done it now at an old age. She could have done that at any time in the world. And she still didn't want to marry, but she was like, I will do this for you because it's what will help you.
But I have a question.
That's a real wife.
In this day and age, right?
Can we? No, but it's a real wife because she's his wife. She's the soulmate.
Can I ask you a question? If you had a sister and I was married to your sister, would you allow me to live as free as Charles lived?
And you just call his name.
I mean,
when he was younger. Yeah. So would you allow me to treat your sister like that?
What I would ask my sister, are you happy with this? Do you know what this means? And I will give you the perfect example. I'll use myself. When we got married, my wife and I got married, I already had a child. And one of the biggest things was, someone said to her, you do realize that someone really close to her, I think she was talking about dating me and something else. And we progressed. Said, you do realize that if you guys go down this path and get married, your first child won't be your first child. And both my kids are boys. So you're walking to a situation where there is presumably already an heir to your husband's throne. And she still went along with it. So if my sister comes and tells me, I want to marry this guy for 5 years and everything else, one, you've made a decision. My job as a brother is to sit down with you and ensure that it makes sense to me. And then, because I can't stop you. So, well, if you're okay with it, it's your blessing. But because, and that's why I said again, you approach it as either a freewheeling contract, but you are clear. Because a lot of people go into marriages expecting the other person to be perfect. And when there's no perfection, there's a problem.
Right. Don't you think you have a duty of care in that, in that pipeline?
So as much as he does have a duty of care, there's also the fact that his sister is an autonomous, human being who is capable and has earned the right to make her own decisions. What I would say, though, is that last, right? This person has made a decision. This is the person she wants to be with. if you have any misgivings, it is your responsibility, is in your place to make it clear that these are the shortcomings that I've observed in this person that makes me have, reservations about, this party about to go down. However, if you choose to proceed, whatever happens, I will always have your back.
Exactly.
But just know that there are consequences, and repercussions,
Absolutely.
all of that. Now, I do think that you have to be married to be married. And I'll tell you why I think so. It is simply because every day, right? At work, at play, in traffic.
In media,
there's let me use traffic. Stop sign, right? It's red. Somebody looks this way, looks that way, doesn't see any human being in uniform. The cameras have not been installed in that place at the time. Baba is like, nobody's moving. There's no, that lane is clear, so there's nobody coming. Baba, I don't have time for this. He moves, right? What he did was wrong, yes. But unless there is a law that can be enforced, there's absolutely no real reason, if he can get away with it, for him to not try and get away with it.
So basically, it's a very funny thing. So you're saying you don't have enough independent thoughts that you don't need a law to control you?
So here's my
So it's still a contract.
No, from the beginning I said that yes, it has to be a contract.
So why not have the contract again with opt-out periods? Because
wait.
You're making my argument now.
No, I wasn't arguing. I don't know if you noticed that I haven't argued with you concerning that. So I do think that and as I said earlier, I think that having the contracts can work. It just would lead to chaos.
Oh, it would work.
It would work. Of course it will work. But it will lead to more chaos down the line than current chaos that we're facing because, and let me try and finish that other thought. So if you do not have a contract that ties you to this person legally, right? Because you know that there's no deterrent, you can get up at any point in time and stroll off. You go and buy milk and not come back. Do you understand?
Yep.
People who are legally married do that anyway.
Exactly.
But there are repercussions because they signed a document. So tomorrow now, if they catch you, you marry somebody for Lagos, they can't catch you for Addis Ababa. Baba, you owe child support because you signed a contract. Do you understand? But if you didn't sign anything, you are a free man.
Child support even if you're not married. So just giving you counters to you.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying that society in general is built on rules. Where there are no rules and repercussions, society will crash. Marriage is one of the pillars of society.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it has to be contracted. And the rules have to be enforced, for lack of a better word.
But here's the flip side to that. Rules, again, I'll go back to this issue of a contract with extension periods. Your life as a Christian or Muslim is guided by a spiritual code. Yes? And you pledge to God to do what he wants. But when you mess up, God, I beg, forgive me. God then reviews you and goes, carry on. Why not take the same thing in your marriage? Because you keep on talking about the consequences that the state is imposing.
Because you're married to a human being.
Yep.
And human beings are not... See, even in the Bible, it says to forgive. But you see that forget thing is nowhere in the Bible. Human beings do not forget. And there's this thing that most of us subconsciously have where someone has hurt your feelings, right? You guys have had the conversation. You've let it go. But you do not forget that person hurt your feelings or did you dirty. So the next time there's a similar situation, Baba, see, you are like all patterned up. There's a particular way that you shield yourself from letting that ever happen again. It's self-respect, to be honest.
Backed by law.
Backed fair. So at the end of the day, your spouse fell your hand, you people had a back and forth. But after that, let's say you step out or she steps out of the marriage. Before, she needs to call and say, are you coming home? What do you want to eat? Blah, blah, blah. Right? And then you do whatever you did. Then one day she finds out that you did that. Or maybe you even just decided that, you know what, I've had enough. Let me just tell this girl what's going on. Which is another conversation and I think it's unfair when people do that. But, we move.
No, we'll come back to that, but go on.
Okay. So you guys now have that situation. Someone has been, someone has stepped out. Someone's feelings are hurt. Blah, 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 blah. No matter how forgiving she is, no matter how the counselor or whatever, no matter how how much work you put into trying to make it up to her, there'll be a part of her that will always have second thoughts, there'll be doubt. The way that you'd be like, you just call and be like, babe, I'm heading to the airport tomorrow, one thing. She's like, okay, how long will you be? It will change. She will ask more questions. She would, without even knowing it, she would just become a bit more cautious about the things that you're not saying. You understand? So if you do not factor all of that in, you're going to just always have a situation where, at the end of the day, you shall lay or you die. For lack of a better way of putting it.
So let me pivot slightly. Two areas. Do either of you believe in open marriages?
I don't.
No.
But I'll tell you why. It's not about her. It's about me.
Of course, it's about you now.
Wait, now let me say.
Yeah,
let me
guy,
tell you
now we all know why.
So, I have always had a hard time, like from when I was way younger. I've always had a hard time splitting my attention. Do you understand? If you now end up in an open marriage with someone who can multitask, Baba, now you don't enter long thing. Do you understand?
Multitasking.
I do. It's not my way. So I can multitask when it comes to work. Do you understand? Because I'm practicing architecture. I'm producing film and TV. I'm acting, and I'm a digital artist. So I'm doing everything that I enjoy doing and I get paid for. But you see, the mental bandwidth to be able to entertain another autonomous human being and their needs and the attention that all I have is just enough
for one
to keep somebody's daughter happy. Do you understand? And then she now has one small human being that looks like me. You get? It is madness to me when people, actively go out. I respect men who can do it too. Strong. People see, have two brain. You understand? For me, it's a selfish reason. Because the other person will have more fun than you. If I was in that situation, she will have more fun than me, hypothetically speaking.
Miller.
Actually, to buttress what he said, when you have this open marriage thing, and he was saying just so much to give up. There's so much to... As a person, it said something about from his early stage that he would commit to someone. I remember being in college. You have a lot of girls that like you, a lot of girls that want to visit your apartment and things like that. There was this Angolan girl in college then, and she would tell my friends that I like that Nigerian guy, right? But again, I had someone I was seeing, do you get? But again, we're not married. We're just young, in our late teenage years. But I couldn't at the time still entertain another person to come into that. And that has really grown on me over the years. Being committed to someone. There's a word I've been looking for that has been missing in our conversation. That spiritual connection. I read quite a lot in spirituality. I mean, not come as like a holier than thou guy, or I don't believe in putting holiness on your forehead. Just be a good human being. Treat others with respect or treat others the way you would like to be treated. It's that pouring yourself into someone else, that loyalty. It's a long journey. He said some men, it gives kudos to them. They may be able to do it. But when you're loyal to someone said some women are waiting for when they're old, for them to start showing them pepper of the things that they've done. Do you understand? But imagine having a woman that you've just been committed to all your life.
You laugh.
No, I'm so sorry. Is this thing that he just said where people say that some people are waiting for their husbands to get older so that they can start showing them pepe? See, marry a woman that's your mate. So that both of you will be old at the same time.
I like it. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. So basically you have that, and then all of the, whatever that has been, all of the shenanigans, all the role play the man has been doing when he was agile, then the woman is, now you're in your walking stick, you can't even carry cup, your hand is shaking. Do you understand? But one young guy somewhere, he'll be able to service me.
Come on, sugar.
Whilst you are sitting here, do you get me? So
Rich auntie vibes.
exactly, and that's the thing about women. Like the moment you find someone you can give your life to. I remember I told you earlier I was married for 8 years. Something happened a year into our marriage. I was making tea, right, in the evening, and the hot water poured on my baba. Do you get on my baba Jabu?
Oh,
right.
Wow.
So it poured, and then she.
I will not try and visualize that situation.
But God,
Now you react. I know you react.
But God is good. Nothing happened. But you know what she said? She said that if anything had happened to that was the end for her. That
Fair.
she would stay with me for
Fair.
the rest of my life,
I understand.
or for the rest of our life and things, right?
Well, she would have stayed.
Yeah,
Even if something had happened.
even something that happened
Oh.
to my Mr. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That she would have stayed.
To Jack Johnson.
Do you get me? And for me, to get that from a woman, the woman, whoever says that, knows that this guy is committed to me. This guy is loyal to me. He doesn't have extra game somewhere. Do you get me? But at the end of the day, women are looking for men too. We're looking for anywhere there's no commitment. And like I said, a chicken that does not belong to anybody. Do you understand? Will end up in a public pot.
But the goods that does is cooked.
Oh my goodness.
So let me pivot from that to we've heard pretty much the good side of it. What are the challenges that men face, especially in this modern age, as husbands? Not husbands and fathers, though. Let's look at
Just husbands.
husbands first. Because the father thing is there. So as husbands, and then we can look at family paychecks or whatever it is, but husbands, because marriage is ultimately it's not between you and your family. It's between you and your partner.
Ideally.
So what challenges are there and how do you surmount them? And do they prove insurmountable at times? And then what do you do at that point in time? And because you were going on about, this chicken situation and goose being, I want to see if your goose has been cooked yet.
Well, I'll let him go first.
So
Are you the chicken or the goose?
I am neither.
You belong to everyone and to no one. Because
Sometimes I'm not even sure if I have the right to belong. Do you understand?
Okay.
And I'll explain.
You have to.
So because I'm the firstborn of my family.
Okay.
Right? I'm from a very, very young age. My mother drilled it into my psyche that everybody else comes first. Like my siblings come first.
Okay.
You understand? At least when she's not around, I have to put them first. So I grew up.
But no.
Do you? So I grew up with that mentality of if you're responsible for these people, they're more important than you are. So there's that. Now, concerning knowing the whole conversation about challenges in marriage and all of that. For me, the first one is time. You understand? And this is me taking fatherhood away.
Right.
Just the marriage. Because this person is married to you because they want to spend time with you and do life with you, right? So the commitment is basically not about your resources. It's primarily about your time. And time is the only resource that you're born with that you can never replenish or renew. Once you spend it, it's gone.
Yeah.
You understand? So whatever you invest it in is never going to come back as more time. It's only going to come back as, memories or experiences. It's never going to come back to you as time. So you have to be deliberate and intentional about how you spend and allocate and invest your time. Now, because you're trying to build a career that, especially for men, we think in terms of, I'm doing this for you. Do you understand? Because I'll be honest with you guys. We're men here, right?
I hope so.
If you, I will shake your head because I thought that. And I hate the fact that you vocalized it. Yes, going. So, you know how, if you ask me personally, right, I don't put a figure to it, but I can survive on very little. My needs are very simple.
Food,
Constant
basic clothing,
electricity,
shelter.
Power,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. Let's be real. Wi-Fi is key. You understand? Food.
So you put all those ones before, you put Wi-Fi before food. Now, wow.
So I'm not a big eater, but we've had this conversation before a long time ago.
Yes, true, yes.
So now, if I can take care of these 4 things, right, for myself, I'm good. So 80% of the time that I'm out and about, working, I'm really not doing it for myself. But we get as men, we get so caught up in that thought. I'm building this for you. I'm working so hard for you, that we forget that they are with us for us. I don't know if I'm putting this out, clearly. And we fall into that trap where we're like, you're working so hard and you feel like, oh, she's demanding for attention and all of that. Because, Baba, at the end of the day, what a lot of women want, in my humble experience, is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
When I was
Consistency of what?
that's what I was.
Okay.
When you're toasting the babe, or as I like to say in my case, when the babe was toasting me, you understand? So
it's okay.
I hate everybody that is
see when this comes out here, I will just follow your social media mentions. But I
so
like
the good thing
stories.
you know that I love you.
You're looking at me.
And you know that this is something that I say to you. So I'm not saying, no, I'm looking at the camera.
Okay, just checking.
I love you too, bro.
Stop.
So I'm just like, people need to understand that for most women, what they're really looking for from you is consistency. When we started dating, so I'm not a phone calls kind of guy. I know phone calls distract me. You understand? My phone is always on silent. It distracts me a lot. So send me a message whenever I'm done with what I'm doing. When I look at my phone, I'll see it and I'll respond. Anywho, let's not get into it. But she was very, pro, let's talk on the phone. Because I knew that it might be a problem in the future, I made concessions and I let her know that, look, from time to time, my comforts, whatever, will fight over my need to do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah,
you understand? And she didn't like texting. But today, we found middle ground because both of us now find ways to do both.
Okay.
You get. Now, if I had started off picking up the phone and calling her for like 2 or 3 hours at a time and picking up whenever she calls and talking for long periods of time, and then I stopped doing it, or I toned it down after we got, really committed to each other and got married and everything, it will be a problem today. So whatever you start with, make sure it's something that you can consistently maintain and sustain.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for drama. So give yourself room for improvement. That's another thing that I always try and tell myself and tell younger gentlemen that I hang out with. If you're starting off at this
stage, like Miche. Thank you.
If you're starting off at this stage in whatever it is that you're doing, Baba, let yourself know that the plan is not to remain there.
Grow it.
Just grow it.
And if you can't grow it, don't fall below it.
Don't fall below it. You cannot fall below it.
Yeah.
Maintain.
So first thing is, allocating your time properly. Second thing is being consistent. The third thing that I feel like most of us struggle with is maintaining keeping the friendship a thing. Because after a while, you find that you guys are falling into being
into patterns.
Into patterns. There's like, even while I was in there was something that I remember that I was like, hey, meanwhile, there's something I forgot to gist you. This is the headline, so that I won't forget. She's like, okay, got it. You have to, this person has to remain your friend. I know people say that, oh, marry your friend. It's not cliche. It's it is key. So if you're not maintaining these things, Baba, is a problem. It's a problem. So for me, those are the 3 things that I have felt the need to actively deal with and fight with so that it doesn't take root?
Yeah, I could actually pick up from a few things that he said. Andrew Tate mentioned something about trauma, right? Like,
Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
In a marriage discussion.
That doesn't. I
just-
I
hear
hear
him.
enough, and you hear anything.
Just okay. Andrew Tate. A marriage discussion.
Because that
I do see where this
I know where you're going, but you know what? Sometimes the guy does like speak something.
every clock is
yeah,
right at least
definitely.
once. Yes. Andrew Tate.
He was talking to a group of women, and he said, "You know what? Date a man who has been through trauma and has overcome trauma. Because when a man has been through some traumatic experience, it comes with a lot of." I have female friends who actually prefer to date older men, or
Fair.
to
Fair.
because of experience. If you asked me this question about some 6 years ago, I would have answered differently. But I've grown the last 6 years on a different scale. The scale of divorce is like losing someone. It's like death,
Fair.
basically.
Yeah.
And through that process, you grow a lot. There are times that I didn't want to get out of bed, right? There are times that I didn't want to show up for work. I didn't want to do anything, right? Because of the experience. So when you're asking about the challenges of marriage, I haven't gotten out of that covenant and coming into redressing life again. What I see today is the buffet or the plethora of options
Oh shit! Come on.
that we have out there. These days, the challenges is something is going wrong in a marriage, and the next thing on the guy's mind is, what's the next option? What's the next this? I wrote a book for children in a school in England. I put at the back of the book, I said, the problem these days is that when something is faulty, we're no longer interested to repair it. We just want to throw it away and go into the shop and pick another one, a new one. And this is exactly what's going on with relationships and marriages today. A friend of mine said to me that her friend posted on Instagram that, 25 years of marriage, all glory be to God, da, 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 da. And then the guy in the picture is on a plane to somewhere she doesn't know on their wedding anniversary day.
Was it for work?
It just picked up and says he's going away to,
It's a little anniversary.
Yes. So, and then you see that on the social media and you're thinking, okay, in the guy's mind, this thing has been dead for 5 years, right? So what's the next option? Is my next woman in America? Is she in London? Is she in Nigeria? And the woman, once she clues on, she'll be thinking like, where's the next guy? Is he younger? Is he older? Do you get? So the problem these days, or the challenges the marriages face today is that option, that buffet of option, or the options that are out there, options of men, options of women. You're dating someone, the next minute, if something happens, what's the next guy on my WhatsApp? Who is in my DM? Or who am I going to go into their DM? So there's I've missed the days where people look back and say, babe, remember 20 years ago, we used to fight about this. We used to want to kill each other. Look at how far we have grown. Look at how far we have come. These days, you don't really get that kind of statement anymore. Do you get? So for me, those are like one of the challenges, just to buttress what he has said. So if I'm saying, okay, you know what, I believe in the concept of marriage. As I said earlier, marriage is like a safe haven, right? So once I'm committed to someone, my job, the nature of my job as a project manager is you have to be a solid person. You got to be grounded. You have something to deliver. You have you're building the software from designing the prototype to building the right thing, maintaining and all of that. And I see the whole marriage or marital life as a software development life cycle. It's ongoing. Today, if Instagram can even crash today, because there are people walking around the clock to mention if there's any bug somewhere, if the way you put straight away. And that's the way I see marriage. So, but the problem, one of the challenges today is the options. Something happens, we have an argument as we're dating, and the next thing in my mind is, that guy in Georgia, in Atlanta, let me talk to her today so that I can escape this wahala that's going on here.
Okay. Now I'm going to pivot to something that only you have experience with. And it's a question for me because it's really weird. I think we are three private people. And we look at our marriages as private and everything else. You, however, in the public life, and forgetting the fact that you celebrate your wife, which is, everyone sees it, and it's one of the things I actually admire about Ibrahim because he's managed to be public and private. However, how do you navigate that? Because God forbid something goes wrong. At least without knowing what your marriage is like internally, there's always a chance that the very thing that plays out in public when it's good will play out at the back. How do you and navigate that? Because you referred to your daily reevaluations and repledgings. So how do you do that? And also, how do you create that safe haven? Living in the public bubble.
So one of the things it is very important, I believe, for people who are dating and have plans to go beyond that, and get into full commitment with to each other for life. It's important to have there's no conversation that is too small or too trivial or too unimportant. Have every conversation, every single conversation, no matter how ridiculous it sounds or feels. Baba, talk that talk. So you and I had all kinds of conversations, from education, finances, religion, faith, spirituality, family, everything. We talked about everything. A little bit of background. Now, once my parents split up, my dad basically, skipped out. When I was about 6 or 7, right? So I was raised by my mom. My wife, on the other hand, grew up. In fact, she didn't move out of her parents' house until the day we got married.
Wow.
Like, she got married from her father's house.
Same here.
So we both had very different
upbringing,
POVs of what marriage looked like. Now,
and did that bring trauma on your part? Because of
in a sense,
yes.
Yeah, in a sense. But I think I would consider. So first of all, I'll give my mom full props. She did a fantastic job of refusing to allow me use that as a crutch. So even for every time I tried to get upset with my father, she and I would get into like major fights. And she would let me know that you don't have a right to judge him for the mistakes that he has made.
You make your mistakes.
Make your mistakes first.
Yeah.
And, at some point, as I grew older, when I was in my early 20s, I was worried. And my mother and I used to have, we used to talk about everything. And I told her that I was worried that, so here's what happened. So she came to my room. I was getting ready. I'd come to visit. Then I'd moved out already. I'd moved to Abuja. And I came to visit, and then I was going to hang out with some of my guys, that evening. And she was back from work. So I was dressing up to head out. So I sat on the edge of the bed and I wanted to put on my shoes. So I took the pair of socks and then I dusted off my shoes, right, with the socks. I dusted my socks and and then she just laughed and said, your dad used to do that. And then she walked out to go and get something. It freaked me out. I was sweating bullets.
You don't want to be your dad.
Because I didn't want to be my dad. Do you understand? He was good looking. He was charismatic. Women loved him. He was a military officer.
Okay, I'm looking for the difference, but go on. Mine was the military.
That's what he did there. Anyway, so all of that was playing in my mind. Like, oh my God, I didn't grow up with this man. I never saw him do this. So it's inside. It's genetic. It took me like a few years before I told her that. Oh, by the way, and then she almost fell over. She laughed and she said something. She said, 2 things your dad didn't have that you have. He didn't have the Holy Spirit and he didn't have you. He didn't have me, rather. Do you understand? So she was like, your father didn't have the Holy Spirit and he didn't have me. And so she's like, don't worry. You guys are similar in a lot of ways, but you're very different, in the ways that matter. When I got married, and then before we got married, we had the conversation about, the fact that we're both in public space and we're both I'm not the kind of, I don't love quietly. You know,
We know, we see you.
I apologize.
It's good.
I do not apologize.
It's good.
We won't believe you. We see you.
Fair. So you and I made a decision that every day we would look each other in the eye very honestly and say, I choose you.
Yeah.
Right? At first it felt like, okay. But then it caught on to the point where it didn't feel right if
Not
we
to
didn't
say it,
do it.
yeah.
So even when, I'm away from home or she's out of town or anything like that, on the phone, we must talk every day anyway. So we must remind each other that, look, I know it's a crazy world out there. And I know that, this and that and the other, even when we're, let's say we have a disagreement, but why not? So I'll let her know that, what, I know that, we're quarreling, right? But I choose you, right? So there's that. Then there's also the fact that it is what we choose to share that we have to share.
Absolutely.
Do you understand? Now, thankfully, we do not have the challenges that every marriage has their own challenges. Ours are not the type of challenges that most other marriages have. But we do have our challenges. So we're both very opinionated. So most of our conversations start off as arguments. You understand? But because we both have this thing where I know the areas of life that she's stronger, she knows the areas of life that I'm more experienced in, right? So we defer to each other when it comes to those things. There's certain things that even if I have an idea on how it should be handled, because I know that she has more experience in those aspects, I'd rather just act like I know nothing and let her handle it. And what that does is that it makes her feel like she is in charge. It makes her feel like, you know what, he's relying on me. I cannot fail. I cannot fall his hand. I have to make sure that I get this right, and all of that. So
let me just, I hate to cut you. I want to ask one question and then pivot to Mela. So, what do you do and say to yourself when, in your opinion, you've fallen short of the expectations you believe that you have of yourself in relation to your partner? What do you do, and how do you deal with it? Because again, it's challenging. As you said, it's about partnerships, and there are times when, as you said, at times men do things to themselves. So how do you take a balanced view of that? And what do you do when you think you've fallen short? Not upset or something wrong, but falling short. And how do you rectify it or address it?
So I'm what's the word now? I'm self-aware, very self-aware.
Okay.
And I'm very honest with myself. I believe that it is one of the reasons why hubris doesn't set in.
Okay.
So I self-evaluate quite often. But over the years, I've learned not to self-criticize. You understand? So for every time I have felt like I've fallen short, and I'll be very honest with you, guys, it happens more often than I would admit, to most people. But a lot of the time I feel like, bro, you didn't quite get this right. You understand? And every time that I do that, I ask myself, what was the target? How did you fall short? What can you do better? Then I get her to hold me accountable for next time.
Okay, that's fair.
Because left to me, I would.
Yeah. Is that your approach as well?
Yeah, you mentioned something about like honesty, just that inward honesty, like you look inward. The proof of sanity is introspection. Or the proof of sanity that someone is saying is like they're able to think and they're able to say that this is where I've gotten it wrong. So if you see that you've lagged behind or you've missed it somewhere, and just, you know what, babe, that is what has happened. And that's part of accountability as well.
Fair.
And in honesty, if you do that, even God would say, you know what, I'm with you. So
I want to take that honesty aspect because you know what, As we come to the close, I need honest takes from one question. One question. Who do you believe benefits more from marriage? Us or them?
I like the us or them.
Yes, now, let's just clarify it. Give me that first, because I want to land on his own.
Please,
I'll give you enough
Ibrahim.
time to even think of your answer.
Ibrahim has meat on the bone that I can munch on.
Wow.
It's a very delicate one. But again,
I said honest answers, which means quick. No, they overthink.
so I would say men actually gain more from a marriage than women. Women they're nurturing. You can tell this man from his talks, everything there is.
He's enjoying it.
He's enjoying his woman. Do you understand? And same here, like you enjoy the nourishment, the nurturing of women.
Yeah.
And that's why I say to men that try as much as possible to give to your woman, to give back. Because a woman is saying that I wake my man up with a massage, right? I wake him up with a massage. Once he wakes up, he gets coffee. Once you get coffee, it's water.
I just say
Must be nice, so.
I'm just saying.
I mean, they wake up and rinse a shower for her.
Excuse me, massage and just massage. And it starts and dust it. You understand?
He gets coffee afterwards, and then he goes out and comes back in the night. After dinner, he gets rub on his head and scarf and everything, getting chilled until he sleeps off. So, and it is in the breathing of the man that woman knows that if he's having quality sleep or not, while she's awake.
So basically, women help men to live life, enjoy life, and then to sleep peacefully.
And that's why you have to take care of women. That's why you have to really nurture.
Fair.
Captain,
Fair, sir.
go on a question, but a brief one about who benefits more.
I see what you did there.
So did I.
I think it's pretty straightforward. Men stand to benefit more from marriage than women. First of all, the woman will put her life on hold because she's having babies. You understand? I'm not going to lie, right? Like, Ihoma is like, she's ready. Let's have a second child. I still have PTSD. Nobody make do 9 months. Nobody make picking. I didn't, nothing. Just being
picking every day. Now, where's
my guy. You don't understand. Now, my guy. However,
he went through rivers.
Just watching her in that discomfort. You see that third trimester?
Yeah.
And then what they call the fourth trimester, that first 3 months of after. Fam, I had to claw my wife back from the edge. You understand? And it's crazy to me how she seems to have forgotten all of that. She's having baby fever. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God.
But they are stronger than we are now.
Exactly. So I honestly feel like we benefit more.
What you just said, sorry, I find a lot of Nigerian men, or a lot of our men, actually disagreeing with that women are stronger and women are more intelligent than men. I don't know why.
So, Baba, if I'm being honest, me, I cannot do labor. I cannot carry the human being for night. I can't. This is wild.
No.
Do you understand? So there's that. For me, that is like, no matter what because there are other areas that men score points. You understand? A lot of other areas that men score points. But you know how, a win is 3 points, a draw is 1 point. In marriage, you understand, and all of that, you see, childbirth and nurturing is like
it's a season.
Bro, God bless you. God bless you. That's like the Champions League thing. Then the rest of it is, home and away draws.
That football note, the final whistle has been blown. As a referee, I would like to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mila, Ibro.